So I wanted to post a response to a couple videos that jericomovie has posted. His name's Jonathan. I think he's actually teaching English to Japanese elementary school students in Japan. I wanted to get involved in that program, Japanese exchange teaching program, where you go over there for a year and they pay you a stipend and then you come home, I guess, or maybe you stay if you like it. But I decided to go to graduate school instead. But anyways, Jonathan has made a couple videos about free will, and I wanted to chime in because whether or not the human being has any freedom seems to be one of the first questions one would have to ask if they were going to try to understand, well, anything at all, really, but especially the nature of existence. So Jonathan was responding to a user, Mogreen2, who was doubting that free will could exist because, according to Mogreen, there are only two possibilities. There's determinism on the one hand and randomness on the other. And if free will is merely randomness, then what's the use of it at all? It's not really free. And I think Jonathan ends up arguing, well, freedom is sort of part of the deterministic nature of the universe. And what it means to say that the universe is determined, as Jonathan puts it, is that there are certain governing principles underlying everything which happens in the universe, because the universe is one, right? And I think instead of accepting this dichotomy between determinism and randomness that Mogreen has forced us into, maybe we should start over with chaos and cosmos. Cosmos implying order, so chaos and order. It seems that freedom is, in a way, our struggle as creatures to hold these two together, chaos and cosmos, or chaos and order. Creativity is really the balance between those two. And so, as is often said, to create one must destroy. But then again, it's not that all creativity is total destruction. It's usually just a reintegration. So it's not that creativity should be opposed to chaos. It's that creativity harnesses what is free about chaos and what is free about order, and brings them together into some sort of a higher synthesis. That's what the human organism is. That's what all organisms are, ultimately. We are order and chaos, perched precariously on the edge of infinity, because by creating, not by creating, but by being creatures, such that our very being is a process of creativity, we are dipping into the eternal while remaining in time. Because that which is ordered in us, the form which persists in us, is a definite possibility which we realize as material processes in space and time. So I think, as Plato said it, the universe is on a macrocosmic scale a moving image of eternity. And I would say that we individual beings, we are also moving images of eternity on a instead of a macroscopic, on a microscopic level. We are in the microcosm, the reflection of this same cosmic or universal principle governing reality as a whole. As above, so below, as Hermes put it. So freedom then is part of what determines the evolution and the involution of the universe. And I guess a lot of times today we want to take a more materialistic perspective and only speak of evolution, but there's also spiritual involution, which means to say that not only are we dealing with an objective physical universe, we're dealing with the light and the word, with eternity, with truth, goodness, and beauty, that these forms are all involved in the physical process of the visible universe. They can't be reduced to it. They participate in it and are, really more important than what we can see. I think, I'll end by asking John a question, which is whether or not he would agree with me that most of reality is invisible. Most of the governing principles of reality are invisible. And when we talk about governing principles, it's possible to sort of understand that in a very abstract way. I would almost want to avoid that by saying that these governing principles, these invisible principles, are basically, spiritual beings. That we should actually understand them by analogy to persons rather than just abstract mechanical processes. This isn't to say that we can sort of win their favors with magic spells and prayer or whatever, but it is to say that the universe is a creative process full of creatures, some of whom are visible and some of whom are not. And I wonder, Jonathan, if you agree that if we're really going to have a comprehensive philosophical view of the universe, of the cosmos, and of our own human existence within it, I wonder if you'd agree that we need to somehow develop a science of the invisible, which doesn't say we don't take into account empirical science. It just says that it's not enough, which is why something like theology may still be important even in the modern age. It's a science in its own right. It's fallen into disrepute today, though, because the average person, or really common sense today, is that you got to see it to believe it, and we've sort of equated truth with utility, and knowledge with power. So science has become technology, and we've sort of given up on this old philosophical attitude of wonder towards the world, and in a sense wanting to understand its deepest secrets, and instead allied ourselves with the much easier and more productive methods of empirical science and engineering, because they lead to practical, at least material results. Now I think the reason invisible science, or science of the invisible, or science of the spiritual is important is because it gives us a different way of knowing that doesn't simply reduce knowledge to power, doesn't reduce truth to utility, but recognizes there are some non-temporal, or in a sense non-secular aspects to reality. Secular just means of the age. Certainly, it pays to pay attention to truth as seen through the lens of your age. But unless you can still retain access to the eternal, it seems that you'll become lost in your age, and your lens will become in need of polishing because it's distorted, and it cannot see the light. It only sees itself, and so isn't seeing at all. But yeah, I'll leave it at that, and look forward to a little dialogue with Jonathan. I'm curious to see what he thinks, because I'm curious as to how he integrates, a picture of God into his worldview that is, in some sense, post biblical, even, or post religious, perhaps. But yeah, I'll wait and see. Thanks for listening.